Grace Helbig, it's so good to see you.
You too.
I was trying to think of when I met you, and it had to be through Hannah.
Probably, yeah.
Eons ago, like
Yeah.
8 years ago?
In that era of chaos.
Yes.
Absolute chaos. And I was like, I remember finding out that you were a therapist, and I was like, and you're around all these YouTubers? God, it must be ripe with psychology for you.
It is.
Yeah.
Also, it's a fun space.
It's got to be, this is the first time I'm thinking about it from your perspective. It must be so interesting for you because now, obviously, there's this like, I see a lot more, obviously, therapy speak and therapists putting themselves out there, but you were really doing it in the beginning before that whole wave, I feel like.
I was the weirdo, definitely.
You were like, is this professionally okay that I put myself on the internet like this?
I remember, because I didn't even have my license. I'd asked my supervisor, Patty at the time, shout out to Patty, love her.
Patty.
And she was like, I love that you're doing this.
Wow.
Go for it. You know, which she could have been like, no, because it's everything that I would do with my patients is all under her license.
Sure.
So she was really putting herself out there. And she was like, I think this is amazing.
That's cool.
Yeah, so it is wild because it doesn't seem like it was that long ago. But then at the same time, when I think back, because you were still doing Daily Grace.
Yeah.
And I remember Sean, and this is kind of a funny behind the scenes thing. Sean would randomly, this before I'd met you, he'd randomly leave comments on people's things like, awesome, love it, cool. And I was like, yeah, we like their stuff. And we would like just try to be part of the community.
Yeah.
And you picked my name once when you would like roast people.
Yep.
And it was like Katie Morton, Katie Fisherman's Gordon or something.
But honestly, that would have been the same. If it happened today, that would probably be the same roast.
And I thought it was very good. And it made me laugh.
Oh, good.
And I'll always remember that.
How sweet.
So,
That's, how I showed my love is by hazing people.
Well, I saw an interview with Amy Poehler recently where she was talking about the real people that you're close with, you can tease.
Yeah.
And she's like, that's how I show my love.
Yeah, it really
like,
is true. And I think as comedians, too, you are so grossly aware of your own flaws and own neurotic idiosyncrasies, baby. Your quirks. And so I think when someone else calls it out, it's almost like, oh, you see me.
Yeah, for who I really am.
Yeah.
If you feel more, I don't know, there's more intimacy there.
Yeah, it's a safer space, I guess.
Totally. So when Daily Grace ended and you had to relaunch, I remember I didn't know you. I knew you, but I wasn't close with you.
Yeah.
Tell me about that process. Because you had to start from scratch.
It was I've been talking to a lot of people about it lately because I think there's a huge sense of nostalgia in the air. I think a lot of creators from that era, we had this chaotic 5, 6, 7, 8 years of the rise of the industry and content creation that it feels like in the last few years, and maybe because of the pandemic too, we're all kind of picking our heads up out of the sand being like, what the fuck was that? What
100%.
happened? It was so hard to process in real time. And so only in the last few years have I really started processing how wild it was. I started out in the YouTube space under contract with a company called My Damn Channel. I was operating like an independent YouTuber. I was creating all of my own content, posting all of my own content.
5 days a week.
5 days a week, Monday through Friday, but I was contractually obligated to this company. And as Daily Grace grew in the YouTube space, I tried to renegotiate my contract with them and it didn't work out. And so the only option was to leave and start my own channel, which I didn't even really understand the scope of or the consequences of or the precedence of. I was just like, I don't want to stop making content, and I really love this audience and I don't want to go away. I want to keep doing this. But it was apparently a very symbolic business move for the space, that it really kind of showed the power of the independent creator and the intimacy that a creator can have with their audience, because everyone followed to the new channel. And it also spoke to just like the beautiful sense of collaboration in the community itself from creators. Like I always say that Hank and John Green, I didn't want to talk about the business stuff. I hate conflict and drama. And to be honest, I didn't fully understand the business side that was happening as much. I just wanted to make funny content. They were able to post, I remember on like Tumblr, even these blog posts.
Tumblr.
I know, that's God, I love Tumblr.
Me too.
They were posting these blogs that sort of informed the audience of just really what was going on, the stuff that I didn't want to talk about, the stuff I couldn't legally talk about.
I was wondering about like NDAs and stuff like that.
Yeah, there was a lot of legal stuff, and I just didn't want to, it was like leaving a marriage with irreconcilable differences. I was like, I don't want any more drama for the children's sake. Let's keep them pure. And so it ended up being, it was very awkward and uncomfortable, but that's pretty much on brand for me. So it did work out really well. And I think was a big kind of just, it concretized in the space itself, the power of the content creator and the, for lack of a better word, influence that was kind of building within these communities. It was really interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting to watch from the outside too, because it was such uncharted territory.
Yeah.
And I don't think...
Which I don't like doing. I don't love
either.
Trailblazing.
Me neither.
It is, I'm a
like to
creature
know
of certainty.
Same.
So, show me a path, let me know where to go, and I will travel it well.
Yep, I'll follow A to B to C to D,
yes.
But I don't want to have to pick out what the next step is.
100%.
Which is kind of funny that we ended up in this space.
I know.
But I think that's the power of the community. Because when you realize you reach people, it's so like mind-blowing.
How did you end up here?
Sean.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh.
Doesn't like to be called out. Because at the time, I think I started it when I was 24.
Wow, yeah. Around the
baby.
same. Yeah.
Babette. And I
Which we thought we were so old.
Oh, so old. And I always, to this day, I will still say I'm glad I didn't start when I was younger.
100%.
And like, at least like my prefrontal cortex was fully formed.
Yes.
Praise be, kind of, maybe.
Yeah.
We don't know. But I was working in an eating disorder treatment center, and nobody like understood it, and or was talking about it in a real way. And we had like nobody to refer to. And of course, I'd like bitch to my boyfriend. Yeah, Sean, bless him. And he was like, I went to this thing, and they were talking about YouTube and like the power of reaching people. And he's like, what if you just like put stuff out? And I was like, no.
No,
at the time it was just like cat videos and like Anna Akana and like Shay Carl.
Yeah, it was a hodgepodge of
and I was like,
home movies and family vlogging and Smosh.
And yes, and I've never been a vlogger.
Yeah,
like that's never been who I am. So I was like, I don't know. And then he just kept sending me stuff, and he was like, here's Jenna Marble. I thought she was hilarious.
Yeah.
I remember like Pitbull said, that was the one he sent me when she dressed up like Pitbull, and she. So anyways, he'd sent me things, and I was like, okay, I'll create the content. You have to do everything else. Like, I legitimately don't understand what this is. And so we recorded a couple videos, and I was like amazed that like I'd get like 15 views, and I'd be like, oh my God, like who are these people? Like I know my mom is like 1 and I'm like 4.
Right.
So, and that was the cool part about it. And it was like worldwide too, which was really blew my mind.
Yeah. It was impossible to process the scope of it.
Yeah.
But it was so exciting.
Or that it could be a business.
Yeah. It was so accessible. And it was also like kind of this big open secret that no one was really taking advantage of at the time, which made it extra exciting that you felt like part of the secret club almost.
Yes. And then going to VidCons all over the world.
God, those are the years I will treasure very dearly for the rest of my life.
Yeah. And I actually still use this. I think we were in Australia, maybe Amsterdam. I forget. I know that sounds crazy, but we did those in the same year. So I forget, but I remember thinking Mamrie didn't like me. And I use this description for people in my audience when like people think, I just don't know,
Yeah.
And I'm like, I used to think Mamrie Hart didn't like me because she was just always standoffish. Yeah. And then we were at a VidCon event, and you and I, we were all just like sitting on a couch, like just drinking, chatting, catching up. And she was like, oh yeah. If I'm standing off to the side, I'm having a panic attack.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and I was like, this has zero to fucking do with you, Katie. Jesus Christ.
I know. It really humanizes her. But she's such a big personality that if she's being quiet, you're like, I must have done something wrong.
Yeah. You must not like me, which is so speaks to me and like my own.
Oh, yeah, same. 100%.
But I use that reference still to this day. That's like an anecdote that I pull out. Have you ever chosen a travel destination just because you wouldn't have to fumble through language? Yeah, me too. But with Babel, that language barrier doesn't have to hold you back anymore. Babel is built to help you start speaking a new language confidently and quickly. Its lessons are based on real-life conversations, so you're learning practical phrases you'll actually use, not random vocab you'll forget tomorrow. They offer over 14 languages, including Spanish, French, Italian, even Swedish. I've been brushing up on my Spanish lately. I used to be fluent. And Babel has made it so easy to get back into it. One of my favorite features is the culture bites. Those quick insights make everything more memorable and meaningful. The best part? Lessons take just 10 to 15 minutes a day. You can seriously fit them in while waiting for your coffee to brew. Babel was created by real language experts and backed by science. Studies show that just 15 hours with Babel is equivalent to a full semester of college-level language learning. Wild, right? So if you've been thinking about learning a new language, whether it's for travel, a potential move, or just for fun, I've got you. I've teamed up with Babel to give you 55% off your subscription, but only for listeners at babbel.com/Kati. That's BABBEL.com/Kati. Babbel.com/Kati. Rules and restrictions may apply. Start your language journey today. Babel, language for life. So flash forward, that's like early starts. You took time off and on YouTube. I also feel that it's very hard to remain excited.
Yeah. This must be, and I'm so interested about your point of view of this, especially coming from the psychology world. I've always been obviously in love with content creation, but it also felt a little tricky and sticky because I could start to feel and see in other content creators the sort of like obsession or like, I don't know how to take a break. I don't know how to put boundaries. Like none of us understood boundaries. None of us understood healthy habits around content creation. It was this potential 24-hour cycle that you could put yourself through. And at first that was the excitement, and then that became the detriment of it. And so I think a lot of us sort of at different phases and in different ways just like hit up against burnout without really recognizing what it was. Now we have all this terminology around it. I remember going to YouTube summits where they would invite like, you know, a handful of creators or like maybe 100 different creators from all across the world to get everyone together to kind of talk about the way that they are doing business or creating, etc. And I remember the first year it was like just very fun and cool and very exciting. And then years after that, they started to introduce dialogue about burnout specifically because we were seeing it happen to creators in different ways, some in front of the camera, some behind the camera. And I think I definitely, by like 2016, 2017, was like drowning in burnout, but didn't want to admit it because it's also your dream job at the same time. So how could anything be bad about this thing that is ultimately so privileged and great? And I thought it was kind of similar for a lot of other creators that I had now talked to since. But I took a break from it. And then the pandemic happened.
How'd you decide to take a break? Was that hard?
Oh,
or do you
I
feel
was
like
just
almost...
drinking like crazy. I was crying when I was making content. I was like, this is there's a very funny vignette.
It's almost like a crash out.
It was like, comical in the crash out because I remember vividly trying to edit a video where I'd drawn as many dicks on my face as possible in a minute.
I remember that.
And I was just crying while I was editing it because I was just like, I was having a big problem with dissociating too. And I'm actually, not to jump ahead or anything, but I'm starting to do this hour of comedy that I've made based on my experiences over the last kind of decade. And I talk a lot about the crash out experience and how I had spent over a decade sort of perceiving myself through screens. And so I was just naturally observing myself from almost like an audience point of view than from within my own eyes. And it really freaked me out, and I didn't have like language for it, and I didn't tell anyone about it. Like I couldn't even figure out the words to explain it.
Yeah, that it was like dissociation, kind of.
I went to school, I went to graduate school, and I studied depth psychology, and I learned a lot about the unconscious mind and the persona, and I was like, ding, 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 that's it. I had just like fully overly identified with this persona of Daily Grace that I kind of crystallized for myself, and all of my self-worth and all of my value was coming externally from these
And you were
comments.
a workhorse too.
Right, and that was the other thing too. We existed in this world during that era of hustle culture, where it was like you are valued based on how booked and busy you are, and we have since learned that that's not the best way to operate. But at the time, it was like a badge of honor to be like, I hardly sleep, I run on 5 Red Bulls a day, and my numbers are
Red
going
Bull
up.
in me.
God,
Such a torrid.
yeah, a tough relationship there. Yes. But it was, it took a while to really sort of understand what was going on. There was also shifts happening business-wise on YouTube, like algorithm shifts that were happening that were changing people's numbers and subscriber counts and viewer counts. And I didn't even fully understand that part. I was just like, people stopped watching. I'm bad. I'm not good anymore. This was all a fluke. This was just like a lucky moment in time. And it is true what all of the haters are saying, that we're all a bunch of like dumb, talentless hacks on YouTube. And so it's just that kind of like the floodgates were open. And it took a while to decide to step back, because there was that innate fear of, if I leave, I'm going to be replaced. There's so many people in the space now.
Yeah.
There was also, I'm kind of putting this together still, there's this correlation too that the rise of commentary channels started in like 2016, 2015
and
maybe.
they took they were the busiest.
The drama channels and the commentary channels just skyrocketed, and it became, we are not creators collaborating, we are creators criticizing, and everyone is watching each other, not for entertainment, but to make commentary on. And in a lot of ways, obviously, that's great, because people should be called out for bad behavior. I agree with that. But there was a level of kind of scrutiny that didn't exist in the early years.
No, it was much... It's hard for people to understand that there used to be a part of the internet used to be a lovely,
happy place, a place where you went as a respite from the real world, because everyone was so lovely and supportive.
I would comment on like every comment,
and
it would be lovely, and I would leave being like, it was just such a nice conversation. And now I'm like terrified. I'm like, do I want to expose myself to this right now?
I know.
Can I emotionally handle it if someone's like, fuck you, you stupid piece of shit?
Like, it is... I am now, within the last year, attempting to re-enter the world of content creation in some sort of semi-serious way. But it is with every, yes, I'll upload that photo, yes, I'll upload that video. It's like, upload, throw my phone away, and be like, oh my God. It is like not what it used to be. And you'd think we'd have a tougher skin by doing it for this long, but it just doesn't totally work out that way. So it was the 16, 17 to 2023 were a lot of years of transition for me.
Was that scary?
Yeah, I think it was just very uncertain. It felt like even though the really kind of successful years were exhausting, it was just a momentum that seemed to perpetuate itself.
Yeah.
And then things slowed down. And when things slow down, you actually get to like see what's happening and see.
Which is kind of scary and almost like, you know what it reminds me of is like, you know, in film when you're watching a movie and they like, you're just racing through like a war zone. You don't hear anything.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the sound comes back. They bring it back like,
yeah.
And then you're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of what happens when things slow down.
Yeah, I think I fully got to feel how tired I was. I fully got to feel how out of creative ideas I was, and that terrified me because my financial income was based on generating creative ideas. And once you're making that many videos over that period of time, I was fresh out. I also, to my own detriment, did a poor job of letting people help me. I was very much of that a kind of original creator mind of I can do it all myself.
I have been. I I'm the one who knows how to do it best.
Yeah, and I'm still having to learn that lesson of it is okay to let people help you. And that, I think, is huge. And you see, obviously, it's a tried and true thing. When you look at the creators, like you look at the Rhett and Links, you look at the Smoshes that have sustained themselves over
so much help.
decades. They've built out these incredible teams. They've given opportunities to such incredibly creative people and performers that it's like, oh, that works. Good for you guys. And they also have an undercurrent of being Christian. I think that helps too.
I think it does too.
I think my godlessness might have been
It might have bit
failure.
us in the ass.
I really thought maybe I should get into Jesus and that would help revamp the channel, but that's
Have a kid. I don't know. Maybe
yeah,
it's
I know.
interesting.
How many dogs can I get for this channel to be
Your
successful?
new dog is adorable.
Thank you. We foster
Goose-
failed. I know.
So sad.
Rest in peace, Goose.
Yeah.
What a brute, beautiful, crazy ass bitch.
She was. You rescued her from a really shitty situation, and she was beautiful. Okay, so we took a break. Shit was crazy. We were crashing out, crying when we were editing. Meltdown.
The silliest meltdown too. It's like
I
I'm
love
still
the dicks
kind of
on the face.
It's like I'm not totally failing. It's just it's so hard because it sounds so privileged. That's the hard part about it too. It's so hard to talk about like how content creation really fucks with your brain, but it does. And I think we do see it in a lot of different creators that have crashed out. Some of them like on live streams in front of audiences. And so I do think I'm very curious to watch this psychology space because I do think the way we've introduced the word influencer, I do think there's going to be this introduction of, I don't know, some type of psychology that comes along with all of this new integrated technology we have with our everyday experiences. I didn't read the article, but I saw a very curious headline about how young women especially are having a really difficult time perceiving themselves in a real way because they take, 50,000 selfies of themselves all day. They add filters all day.
Wow.
And so, like we were saying earlier, I'm so thankful to have started on the internet at the era of the internet that I did, at the age that I was, because I cannot imagine being a teenage woman, especially, having to just develop my sense of self and self-confidence with the way technology is integrated into our lives.
We weren't exposed to that much, and I had my own body image issues enough.
Yeah,
like
I had
sans internet.
Yeah, I was all in the disordered eating in college. I was hoping the internet would save me from that.
At the beginning, maybe.
Yeah.
There was a study, was it Psychology Today, I think, that just recently shared that of comments on body and image, when someone is trying to tear a woman down, 67% of their comments are body image related, whereas it's only 22% when it's a man.
Wow.
And, and that's something we have the least control over.
Yeah.
Right? And then if you do
Wild.
alter it, you're judged for that too. So
Right. It's
best
wild.
of luck. Yeah. It is really tricky. And I am interested also to see the impact, because when you ask children in school what they want to be an influencer or a creator or whatever they want to call it.
Yeah.
That's still the number one job.
Wild.
So we have to figure out how to better navigate it so that people don't do what we did, kids.
Yeah. And I mean, it's really scary because I just started reading up on like skinny talk and these like wormholes that young women fall into that develop eating disorders where they wouldn't necessarily have developed one just because their algorithm is starting to feed them these skinny videos, and it's heartbreaking. And I'm also listening to this book on called Stolen Focus, and it's about how, obviously technology has fractured kind of our ability to focus, and a lot of it is about how we need to make individual changes, but there's also systemic changes, like algorithmically, that need to happen, and I don't know that they will, which is terrifying.
I don't know if they want to. Yeah.
No, financially, why would they? I mean, they make more money the more that we go down these wormholes.
Yeah. It's really interesting. Yeah, there's so much we can get into.
Yeah.
I'll table that for in a second, because I am interested in like your degree and going back to school and all that. But when did you meet your husband?
Oh, Elliot Morgan.
I've known him for a long time and known of him even longer.
Me too. We met each other in the early days of YouTube. He was a host on a channel called SourceFed, and I went and I guest hosted some episodes. I met the whole gang over there. And it was really cool. And we would, all hang out at VidCons and things like that. But we were never single at the same time until cut to, 2018. We were both single at the same time. We went on a date. And then the next date we went to Vegas for the weekend. And now we're married. And we eloped in Vegas, and it was really sweet. And he actually was kind of the catalyst for me looking at graduate school, because he's actually in a program now. He's getting his PhD.
Oh, wow. He's still going.
He's still going. He's in an archetypal studies graduate program. It's very cute. We went to the same graduate institution, but we took 2 different programs. And I pieced out after 2 years. He's stayed, and he's finishing up his dissertation within the next, 6 months or so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he's in that mode right now of just constantly reading. And his therapist at the time recommended this school called Pacifica Graduate Institute. Yep. And they had this really interesting program, which is now called Depth Psychology and Creativity. It had this really long, kind of clunky name when I first signed up for it. And I had been looking for something in psychology. I'd always been interested in that, but I didn't want to do clinical hours. I didn't want to become a therapist or work in advertising or work in HR. And so this program seemed perfect. It was like, let's focus on depth psychology, but how it's filtered through different modes of creativity. And it was so important for me, not only academically, but just for the people that I met in the program. Like, artists and academics that did not have Instagram accounts.
Isn't that amazing?
I couldn't believe it.
They're the healthiest people, though.
Truly, they were the best. I was like, how are you alive?
I know.
Where do you get information and see what everyone's doing all the time?
They don't care.
Right. It was amazing. It was amazing to be around people that just had fully fulfilling, beautiful, artistic, creative lives offline. And to be able to learn from them and with them. It was a really amazing program. I was disappointed at first because there was no way to directly translate what I was learning into, I initially thought I was going to go back to school, and this is where my brain is so scrambled from doing internet for so long. I was like, how can I make content out of this? Of course.
I do that all the time.
Yeah.
I'm reading an article I'm enjoying, and I'm like, wait, how could I make this into a video?
It's crazy. And
I can't just enjoy it in the moment.
I have been trying to get myself away from that, but I could tell that was in the back of my head secretly. And after my first semester, there wasn't a way for me to do it. And I was like, what? But I loved what I was learning. And so it ended up being kind of this just 2-year intensive art program that was just very, for lack of a better word, healing for me.
I was gonna say, it sounds like it was kind of recharging in a way you maybe didn't. I mean, you knew you needed, but maybe wouldn't have gotten otherwise.
100%. I to be able to, I'm very much a rule follower, and I'm very if you give me an assignment, I will gladly.
I'm going to do it. And
that's kind of
why it in on time, probably early, because I get too anxious if it gets too close.
Yes, that's why Daily Grace was so successful. I had to make 5 videos a week, and I was like, "You got it, no problem. I am your
girl. I can do this."
Yeah, and so it was really great to have a bit of structure, which I think is what I was lacking for years on YouTube from working at home, and I just had a hard time setting up a system of work-life balance for myself that really, I felt was working. And so this really allowed me to just divert my attention, and also at a time when the world was very uncertain. It was really nice to be in this cohort of 20 people from all over the US, some actually from Europe, and to be able to just commiserate with them. It was a really close-knit bond that we all formed. It was really kind of cool. But then I still as soon as I was about to graduate, I still was I don't know what to do with myself.
It still felt very uncertain.
Yeah, I was this was supposed to give me my answers for what's my next chapter. And I still was well, that was fun, but now what do I do? And then I got breast cancer. And I was oh, okay.
This is what
next.
I do. Thanks. Yeah.
So this is the next project. Okay, got it.
Do you think, just going back a little bit, and then I want to talk about that definitely. When you met Elliot, it sounds like you'd already kind of taken a break. Do you think, and I'm just hypothesizing, do you think that left space for a real relationship finally?
I think so. Yeah, we were definitely both in creative spaces for ourselves that were changing. Like his business was changing, and I was just trying to figure out like what this burnout was. And so it was really interesting to have known each other for so many years in this space, and then to really come together in a partnership when we were both facing this like weird, like the rug's kind of getting pulled out from under us and we need to change something up. And so it was really amazing to have a partner that understood the weird nuances of YouTube content creation, that was able to really understand what it's like to put yourself out there constantly and to struggle with it and to not know how to fix it. Yeah. So I think it's been a really great partnership.
Yeah. It's a good, even from the outside, I'm like, it's a good fit.
Oh, thanks.
You know? But I do think there is something too, I've learned recently moving to Austin, not having as many creator friends around.
Yeah.
How vital that is to my health, because there is something to having people closest to you understand what you do.
Yeah.
And not that like they have to be doing it too, but it really helps if they do. Because of that, like, I don't know, anything from like my videos like shitting the bed. And I'm like, I don't understand why it's doing so poorly.
Yeah, right now.
And I like text a friend and I'm like, dude, and he's like, oh, mine too. He's like, I don't know. Fucking they probably changed something. I don't know. You know, and it's just like the commiseration of like, we don't know.
I know, I feel like I have a lot less creator friends than I did, back in the day. So we
used to be tighter knit, but I think it's because there were fewer of us.
And I think it was this surge of everyone coming out to Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. So everyone was here. Everyone was collaborating.
The same age.
We were all around the same age. Everyone was collaborating. And so now I feel like it's very like fractaled. People have moved.
It was only YouTube then too, really.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, there was Twitter. Yes, there was Tumblr.
Yeah.
But
there wasn't TikTok.
No, and there wasn't Instagram.
We weren't doing Instagram stories. We weren't doing Snapchat. There was a creator space here in Los Angeles that was like encouraging people coming together.
Yeah.
So there was this sense of community that I think has since sort of dissolved, which is a little sad. I feel like
that might aid in the, like, I don't know if it would stop burnout, but I think it would essentially maybe slow it down or make it less abrupt or intense.
Yeah, it's definitely felt like a shift. It feels almost like there's like light stages of grief that you go through post that era of like the way that, you had these maker studios and you had these like full screens and all these places popping up that were just like hubs for people. And now it's a bit more disjointed and also very crowded.
Yes. And I feel like there's always new people. And I think it's the old school version of me that like, I'm like, I want to know who they are. Like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
But you can't keep up with it. There's
impossible.
Too many. And I used to feel like I could really keep up with people.
Yeah. It felt like a high school. And now it feels like Tokyo.
Yes.
It's just like there's a lot of people here.
And every day somebody else gets off the plane and they're there.
Yes.
It is very overwhelming.
Yeah. It's a lot. So it's that's why it's so nice to look back on the good times.
That's why I've been rewatching Gilmore Girls for like the
there you go.
Fifth time.
Yeah.
Because it's like a comfort watch.
Absolutely.
Let's jump into cancer diagnosis.
Oh, yeah.
But I also want to talk about like, and it's kind of up to you, I guess, dealer's choice. Do you want to talk about that, or do you want to talk about starting to create again? They kind of go hand in hand, because I had really taken a step back from content creation. I was still podcasting with Mamrie. Just that's my income. And so, and also it's just like, I love doing that with her. She's my best friend. So I do love your podcast too, by the way.
Thanks.
Like when we were in Santa Monica during COVID and I would go on walks, just like I had to get out of the house.
Yeah.
I would just put it on. It was like comforting too, because I was like, I know them, and then you guys would make jokes. I was like,
oh, that's so
it just
sweet.
felt like I was like still socializing.
Yeah, 100%.
That's why
so. I still listen to Tyler and Corey's podcast for the same reasons,
yes,
even though they're my
people.
friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had really like tried to give myself some space from YouTube, because I just didn't have any ideas, and I didn't feel like creating just for the sake of someone having to see my face like was good or fulfilling or soulful in any creative way. So went to school, and then when school was finished, literally a week after my graduate school graduation, I got my diagnosis that I had breast cancer.
Had you felt a lump?
Yeah, I felt a lump in my left breast, and I had ignored it for like a year. And because I'm
know.
very good at being like, let's just shove that down there.
Also,
and
it's
deal with
scary.
that later.
And I've had more friends have breast cancer like recently. Maybe it's our age. Maybe it's like catching COVID. And I don't know if that did something to our like.
Who knows? The amount of shit food I ate growing up,
Yep.
the amount of times I stood
sugar-free
directly
Red
in
Bulls.
front. Yeah, the Red Bulls, the standing directly in front of the microwave that was at my breast level the whole time. Who knows?
Yep.
But I'm a huge advocate now of everyone checking themselves and getting checked, because I was 37 at the time, so I was under the age that
you
was
wouldn't have
even...
got a mammogram yet.
I got my first mammogram because of this lump, and it probably would have been years until I was actually recommended by a doctor to get a mammogram. So thank God I went to a gynecologist appointment. My gynecologist actually missed the lump on like first inspection because I have what's called dense breasts.
Me too.
Yeah.
And
So-
what does that mean? Honestly, nothing good. Only thing it means is that it's harder to detect.
Yes, it's harder to detect, and it feels like maybe this is nothing because the tissue is dense already.
Mm-hmm.
And so she kind of sent me to a surgical doctor who sent me to get a mammogram, and I got a biopsy. Literally the same day I got a biopsy, we drove up to Santa Barbara, went to our graduate school graduation, and then came back, and we had a week, and we waited for the test
So you still had like the
results.
tape from where they like
Yeah, and I
cut-
didn't tell anyone. I didn't even tell my mom or dad that I was, because I was just like,
Don't want to
it's-
worry them
And everyone was very casual the whole time. Like in hindsight now, I can see everyone like different little nuances of nervousness, but everything seemed very like, we're just, it's going to be nothing. And then it was something. And in a very, I've said this a billion times when I talk about this, because it is so kismet, in a very bizarre kismet way. Hank Green got diagnosed with cancer a month before I did, and I was watching in real time him kind of make his announcement and talk on his podcast with his brother about his diagnosis. And I remember I had texted him like, condolences and all of that when he first announced it, and then like a few weeks later I was like, by the way, I have it too. And so
we're part of a group again.
Yeah, I was able to like kind of glean from the way he handled himself, which I thought was with just such integrity and such courage, that he didn't have to tell anyone about anything. But that's kind of the place I was in, is like, I have two choices. I can just keep this offline or I don't. And it just felt easier to tell people than to try and put it behind the scenes and continue to podcast with this like big secret.
Yeah, well, and then I feel like it's not authentic, and it kind of goes against like the original creator way.
Yeah, there was something in me that was just like, well, I have to, like, I have to tell my friends, and
Yeah,
the
the people
audience-
need to know, and these are my friends, and I've been talking to them for years.
Exactly.
And,
Like
yeah.
the parasocialness works two ways, I
It
think,
does.
with creators. And also it was just really therapeutic in a weird way. This thing that I'm familiar with, which is talking to a camera, kind of helped me process what was going on and like ground me in reality. And then selfishly, it really helped because the community had so much information that they sent me of like things I need to get, things I need to be aware of or cautious of, or things I need to know, stuff that overwhelmed me to look up on my own. But when it was coming firsthand from people that had experiences or themselves or with their loved ones, it was so helpful. And then it also created this like comment section under my videos that were resources for people that they could go and look and get information. So it felt very purposeful all of a sudden, that I was like, oh, this is bigger than me.
Yeah.
And this is, I think, really important, because turns out a lot of people have unfortunately had to deal with cancer either directly or indirectly. It kind of like exposed this invisible world that I had been like living parallel to, but never had to, in a privileged way, be part of. And so it's like, oh my God, this community, so vibrant, full of like the most amazing people I've ever met. And so I'm very lucky in a dark way to be part of the cancer community now. But I was really able to kind of see how Hank handled himself and sort of figure out what I wanted to do based on that. And then it just kind of spurred me to vlog the experience. I was like, let me, one, this is an easy way for me to communicate with my family.
Yeah.
And
so you don't have to send like 5,000 texts or call and say the same thing over and over when it's already emotionally charged for you.
Exactly. Or like my parents don't have to text all of the other family members. Like it's an easy way for people to be able to check in on me. And it was just like grounding. It was like I felt like I was having a friend with me the whole time that I could talk to about everything. And I don't know, there's something very strange about like having done comedy online for 15 years at that point and then being like, oh, I'm not doing bits.
Yeah, this is serious. This is just life.
This is the most honest I've ever been on my channel before, and it turns out it's really easy to just like not have to do bits.
Isn't it funny how we get, because I've struggled with this recently, I've been trying to rethink like to get out of, it's not even a rut. I don't even want to call it a rut, but that's the only word that comes to mind. But it's almost like my shtick.
Yeah.
To get out of the shtick is really hard because it's like my brain and body want to go right back into like, well, no, we should turn it, for me, it's like, we should turn this into a definition. Then we give some key points and then how do we heal from it? And like my brain wants to go like, bam, 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 bam.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, what if we just talk about it? And my brain's like, no.
I totally get that. Well, that's what I felt like. It all kind of weirdly worked out in a really bizarrely great way that I think I spent 2 years in graduate school really understanding this over-identification with this persona and really getting perspective about myself as a creator and that I'm more than just a persona and really grounding myself in Grace Helbig rather than like the girl that you see on screen. And so I had done like 2 years of this disillusion of self, and then it was like I'd never felt more in my body and grounded. And then they were like, oh, good, you all set? Here's this now.
Yep.
You are the healthiest you've ever been? Well, actually, you're not. So
spoilers.
Here you go.
But the universe is interesting that way, where I feel like it like gives you things in a time when you can most handle it.
Yeah.
And you had support, right? You had Elliot. You also have, Mamrie and friends. I'm not like downplaying, but you had like a core person.
100%. And also other creators like Taryn Southern. I don't know if you remember her from early years of YouTube content creation. She reached out. She had this exact same breast cancer diagnosis 4 years earlier. And she was like, you're going to do this, this, and this. Here's how it's going to go.
Wow.
Here, she gave me like documents about freezing my scalp for saving my hair and like all of this incredible like resources.
So what was your cancer diagnosis, if you don't mind sharing?
Sure. Yeah, I had triple positive breast cancer.
And what does that mean?
I should know the science more by this
But it
part.
sounds so intense. Triple positive.
Yeah, I know. It sounds really intense, but the good thing about it is triple positive is one of the most treatable forms of breast cancer.
Amazing.
The bad thing is the treatment is very aggressive and very difficult. However, it is tried and true. It works. So I was very thankful to be given a treatment plan that was crystal clear.
I would say it's very up your alley, like works with your brain. We're like,
Yeah.
you need me to do this? I'll do those things. And then I'm all good. Cool.
100%. Like I have met so many people that have had to get second opinions and have had to weigh their options and have had to like figure out. I'm terrible at making decisions. The fact that they were like,
especially big ones like that.
oh my God. It turns your world upside down. Like you're expected to make a rational decision when you don't even know which way is up because
I'd be like, dissociated.
Yeah.
Like, 'cause it's so overwhelming. There's too much information to take in.
Yeah.
That I can just imagine myself like, because I wouldn't cry right away. That takes me a little while.
Yeah.
But I'd just be like frozen.
It was total shock. I felt, honestly, and I talk about this in my show that I'm doing, I didn't even feel mad or sad. I just felt total imposter syndrome at first. That I was like,
This can't be me.
I can't fight cancer.
Yeah.
Like,
Who am I? What?
I'm not built for that. I'm an internet kid. So it felt, and thankfully, I don't have a huge medical history. I was very unfamiliar with hospitals and the entire, system of how everything works. And I am very, very thankful to have had some really great doctors that took me very seriously and listened to me. And I know a lot of people do not have that experience in the medical industry. So in hindsight, I had a really kind of privileged experience with it, but it doesn't discount that it is breast cancer and it's crazy. And it's like we said before, the diagnosis numbers for especially millennial women is higher than it's ever been. And they don't know exactly what contributes to it. I saw a New York Times article that said a lot of millennial women are not having children. So if they're not having...
That makes us more likely, and I don't know why. And they don't
the
really know why.
breast milk, something about not... using your breast milk. I don't know. There's no direct correlations yet, but there's guesses. So
reminds me of Sex and the City when Samantha's like, I don't know if you were a big fan.
I never watched it. I know. I'm one of those. I know.
Oh, so Samantha gets diagnosed with breast cancer.
Okay.
And the doctor says, I don't know, there's a lot of factors like in your family, genetics, and that we find that women who don't have children, and she gets so mad and she's like, so you're telling me that I got cancer because I don't want to have a child?
Yeah.
And then she runs into a nun in the waiting room and she's like, so you haven't had children either. And so she asks her all sorts of inappropriate sex questions where she's like, can you masturbate, blah, blah, blah. But it's hilarious. And she gets really pissed that is true. I actually looked it up because I was like, is that correct? And it is true.
Yeah. I feel purpose driven now to just encourage people to get mammograms, to get checked, to get peace of mind. That's the biggest thing.
And it's not that big of a deal.
No.
I know for people like with trauma backgrounds, they're like, but the thought of you wear like a gown, you're against like plastic.
I will say a mammogram is the goofiest thing ever. Like,
and your body can't physically get closer, but they're like, get closer.
No,
and you're
like, I have small breasts.
Me too, which
so they
makes
are
it harder.
shoving me in that machine.
Like pulling.
Yes.
And I'm like, that's all I got.
I know. They're ripping the skin off of my chest.
You feel your skin like pulling. And I'm like, there's no more for me to give.
I know. And I'm always with like a nurse that is so sorry that she has to do that to me. And I'm like,
then
it's
I start
fine.
sweating.
Yeah.
And you can't wear deodorant. So.
Oh, right. I know. That part is very... It's like, there's got to be a better way. This is why I think they can't cancel research funding. For many reasons, obviously. But one of them has to be that mammograms can't be like this forever.
It's got to be better.
There's got to be another way.
And also, if so many people have dense breast tissue...
Right.
Because I know you do. I do. My girlfriend Abba had... I thought... She told me... I think because... She said she knew I wouldn't freak out.
Yeah.
But she had a biopsy, didn't tell her mom or didn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
Didn't tell her kids. So she has 2 kids and she has breastfed.
Yeah.
Because she didn't want everybody to freak out.
Yeah.
But she told me, and then it turned out to be nothing.
I told my brother, was the only person outside of my husband that knew. I didn't tell Mamrie, I didn't tell my parents, I didn't tell anyone because I don't want to worry anyone unless they had to. So when I did have to tell them, it was really out of the blue for them because I have no family history. I have no BRCA gene. So it was a complete shock for everyone, which is just fun.
Are there like groups and support? Like, I was like, did you ever join those? Because I can imagine myself wanting that just for the pure and simple fact of like the reason I need creator friends. Like I need people going through the things I'm going through. Yes,
I did sign into the triple positive Facebook account. I never used Facebook. I love
it's like triple positive. It sounds...
Yeah, and you have to get approved. And I did that before I even started treatment. Someone had suggested it, and I was like, that's probably good. And then I looked at it, and it was just so overwhelming. And it was incredible because it was a ton of information. I actually got a crazy skin rash after my first round of chemo, and I knew what it was because of this group. But it was a bit too much for me at first because there was a lot of people struggling with a lot of different things. And so I didn't want to know about the ghosts in the haunted house before I got there. So,
yeah, because you didn't know if those would be your ghosts or not, right? Like, am I freaking out?
Right.
Because I can do a lot with information. Like, and make myself crazy.
Totally. The amazing thing is it was an incredible level of support of people coming to everyone's aid with information, with ideas, with recommendations. And so it was an incredible group. It just wasn't... I think there's also that, like, independent creator side of me too that was like, I don't know, I'll observe quietly from the shadows. But they were available, so it was great. But now I do, anytime I'm introduced to someone or I see someone that's gotten diagnosed, I do feel this like immediate kinship with them and immediate connection, and I have felt that from members of the community when I got diagnosed. So it does feel like there's this weird, beautiful community that has to deal with these unfortunate circumstances.
There's something about knowing someone's been through a very jarring life experience that you've been through. Yeah. Because I can't imagine what it's like to get a cancer diagnosis. Because, I see it in the movies and things like that. Yeah. Like, you're sitting at the chair with your doctor, and they tell you, and you're like, shit. But I don't even know how... There's no reaction to be had because you don't even... It's like you're processing and...
Yeah.
What am I supposed to say?
A lot of the feedback that I've been getting lately that I've never thought about before is from people who have a family member that has gone through cancer treatment that won't talk about it with them.
Oh,
and so
interesting.
they don't know how to talk about, how to support them, how to know what they're going through, because for a lot of people, obviously, it's so hard to, come to terms with, and they don't maybe want to burden their family members with it, so they keep it close to the chest, but the family members are left wondering how to support their loved one, and have told me that, like, the videos are helpful because it gives them some perspective on the inside of what it's like, that they wouldn't otherwise know, which feels very, like, great to be of service in that way. Because the weird thing too, and this is a byproduct of the internet being the way it is right now, I started to put online this, I just wanted to tell people, and then from there I had no plans on what I was going to do in terms of content. It just sort of organically happened, but I always had the idea in the back of my head of, like, are people going to think I'm exploiting this illness for views?
I've always hated that too. Like,
Isn't it crazy?
if you share authentic issues, and you're having a hard time, because I remember I shared that I was having a hard time, like, finding community.
Yeah.
And I was like, I talk about this. I know this in research. But to experience it, and people are like, oh, she edited it, so she cried. And I was like,
Really?
oh my, you legitimately think that I would, like, edit?
Yeah.
And you, like, again, because people, like, can say whatever the fuck they want.
Exactly.
And you're
then
like,
it makes you question your own authenticity.
And then I was like, am I?
Yeah,
and I was like,
am I a raging narcissist?
I didn't think I was, but maybe I am.
Yeah, exactly. This New York Times article, I've been wanting to make content around this, but I haven't sat down and actually figured out what I want to say. This New York Times article recently came out where there's this girl on TikTok whose name is escaping me now, who is going through cancer. I forget exactly what kind, but she's been making TikToks through the experience, and her channel has really grown. And there's a Reddit that started, a snark Reddit, that thinks that she's faking her cancer and has been, like, horrifically trying to, like, get her canceled in some way, to the point that the New York Times article interviewed her oncologist, who has confirmed that she has cancer.
So she had to sign a release for her medical information to be, wow.
And a nurse kind of went undercover and snarked out this snark Reddit and found that it's, like, grown women that work at, like, medical institutions, like, that thought this young, beautiful, vibrant, current cancer patient was faking her cancer because she's doing, like, little dancey TikToks and giving the nurses, like, gifts and going on, like, influencer trips and things like that. And
but you can't have cancer and do
right. And that's the world, because look, there are things like Scamanda. There are
I was just going to say Scamanda ruined it for everybody then.
Truly. And the apple cider vinegar girl. These are outlier
bad actors
types.
Shouldn't taint everything.
Right, because I do think the transparency of someone going through a diagnosis is invaluable to someone else going through something similar that feels so alone in their experience.
And maybe they don't feel like they can talk to somebody.
Exactly.
And to that end of people feeling like, or their families not wanting to share about their experience, what did you find the most helpful? Like, if someone out there is in that situation, like, well, my sister or my mom or somebody's going through this, like, what did Elliot or Mamrie or any of your family do to support you that you thought was the most helpful?
They were great. They were, obviously, I get my sense of humor from my family. And so my family being able to laugh with me and keep it silly and not super serious was so helpful. And just, like, the checking in, I think, and I say this, like, post-treatment too, that if you ever have a feeling about checking in with a friend, regardless of it being a cancer situation, just do it. The feeling of someone checking in, just wanting to say hey, especially in the growingly isolated world that we live in, because we're all detached from each other through technology, and the loneliness epidemic that is rising in our culture, just that little bit of communication, that little bit of just, like, acknowledgement of someone thinking about you was so impactful. Like, you don't need to send me a thing. You don't need to, like, fix anything for me. Just the acknowledgement of, like, hey, thinking about you was like, this is so lovely. Because sickness is just, like, inherently isolating.
Yeah.
It is inherently lonely. And so that part was so so impactful to me. And it was just so small. It doesn't have to be big gestures. It's just like small acknowledgments were so huge.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people will feel like, oh, I need to know what to say.
Right.
Or I need to be able to offer a big thing.
A thing, yeah. And that's
like
how
flowers
I feel.
Or food or what do I give them?
Exactly. But like a funny GIF is great.
Yeah.
That was so with no expectation of needing to respond either, you know, just the like, hey, thinking of you. Like it was, those little moments were really helpful in the like darkest times.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
And I don't think we have time to talk about this, maybe at another time.
Sure.
But the telepathy tapes.
Oh my God. You must be obsessed with them.
Obsessed.
Yeah.
And when you said like, when you get that feeling like, oh, I should reach out. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, because this is
There's a sense.
There's a sense.
Yes.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
So I want to finish with your comedy.
Yeah.
So you've restarted that.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about, want to get this off my chest.
Yeah. I kind of knew as soon as I, was going through treatment, I was starting to write jokes. I was journaling more than I've ever journaled in my whole life.
I'm so proud of you. I love that very much.
I know. I'm trying to get back into it because I've definitely fallen off from it.
I think we go in and out, ebbs and flows.
But it was so incredibly helpful during treatment of just like writing everything down, because there's also like you have this amnesia of what just happened. So I was forgetting things immediately after they happen. But I was writing jokes and I was writing, kind of the stories that were happening. And last summer I like sat down. I had finished my radiation at the beginning of last year, and then last summer I kind of sat down and like this live comedy show just sort of came out of me. And I've never done I've never done stand-up.
I wondered. So I didn't think you had either, but I was like, I don't know everything about you. So I was like, I wonder if this is a whole new...
Yeah.
How exciting, but terrifying at the same time.
It's like within the realm of things I've done before, but not exactly. And it's been a bucket list thing of like, I've wanted to do a one-woman show.
First of all, I think you're very funny.
Thank you.
Not just because I like you, but because you are funny. But I think also there's like the thing that I know that I do like about comedians is like the physicality of it. And you're very much that person.
Yeah.
And I think that like as soon as you posted about it on Instagram, I think, or something, I was like, oh, that would be so good.
Thanks. And it's been really interesting because the show is not just about breast cancer. Like I am talking about my history of content creation and being a content creator and how that has woven itself in and around the treatment process and the things that I've learned about all of it since then. And so it feels like this like really exciting show that encapsulates like the last 15 years of my life in this way that I've been like wanting to figure out how to talk about but not exactly sure. So I don't think I've been this proud of something I've creatively made in a very, very long time. And it's like a different avenue of content creation that feels like a new muscle to flex. I'm taking it to Edinburgh Fringe this year, which I've never been to before, but has been a bucket list thing since I started doing improv comedy in 2008. I've just never had like a piece to put up there.
Yeah.
So this is like a real like mythological rite of passage for me in certain ways, which is really exciting. And to feel like it kind of alchemizes the experience into something, that's what you want. You want pain to make art, You want to be able to have these horrible experiences and then be able to turn it into something beautiful. And I'm trying to do that, which is really exciting. And it's given me like, I don't know, a slight reinvigoration about being creative again.
Yeah, because I think that's the thing is we get caught in those like the ruts, for lack of a better term, right?
Yes.
Like this is the shtick that we do.
Yeah.
So do you think this will be something that you'll continue?
I hope. I don't know where it's going to go. And that's kind of the exciting thing too. It's just like, I care about this piece. I'm really proud of it. I think it's really good. And I am going to do it wherever people let me do it.
Yeah. How long are you on tour? Where can people find the tickets and see?
So the tickets are all in my Instagram bio. I have a link tree there. You can buy tickets for Edinburgh. They're on sale now. Before Edinburgh, I'll be in St. Louis and Atlanta and Chicago coming up in the next 2 months. And then after Edinburgh, I'm trying to get some more shows going in the US in the fall, but those are TBD at the moment.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's really cool.
From the outside, it's cool to watch a new development. Like I said, like I love friends doing cool shit. I get really excited.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is so new. And I was like, this totally makes sense. I cannot wait.
I know. I got to see last year, Hank did his hour of comedy out here. And I was just like, this is so inspiring. Like, he is doing it in the most Hank way possible.
Because he's not a comedian either, but who says you can't?
Exactly. Yeah. And so he was inspired and he did it and it was fantastic. And I was like, I can do it too. And so here we are. And there's a lot of other, Anna Akana also did a one-woman show last year that I was so inspired by. And she's just like such an excellent creator that has sustained this like really beautiful sense of authenticity and integrity and comedic value in her work that I find just like very inspiring. And so she also really, unbeknownst to her, kind of helped me kind of push myself in that direction. And I do think there is like that pendulum swing of like, I've been inside on the internet for a long time. Now I want to get on stage in front of people in real life and see what that's like until I want to go back inside and do internet again.
Yeah, but we can do both.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
And I think it is like, there's something about, especially post-COVID, because I've been feeling the need I want to do talks more, do speaking engagements more.
Yeah.
Because I love to see people. I want to be in person.
Yeah.
I don't want a Zoom meeting. I don't want a fucking live stream. I want to see your face. I want to laugh with you. I want to have impactful moments. I want to do Q&A. I want to do that because we didn't get to do it.
100%.
And we didn't realize how valuable it was.
Yeah. And I think people are craving it now more than ever.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So go to her Instagram, check it out, buy tickets, go see Grace live. Thank you for taking the time to talk with us. It's been really interesting. And I feel like there's so many things like the telepathy tapes. I love to hear more about your education, but that's all the time we have for today.
We'll do a part 2. And I don't even feel like I did a podcast. I feel like we just caught up.
I know, because I hadn't seen you for so long. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, I feel like I haven't seen her in person probably pre-COVID.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy. Time flies.
It is really wild.
Well, thank you for coming and hanging out with us.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll see you again soon.
Very soon. Fucking crush it! I've podcasted once or twice in my life.